Okay, so I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving, and as you can see, I'm already enjoying Christmas. I got my there's my tree. So as I mentioned to my other class, there's no war on Christmas in my house. I do like the holidays. I like it in a very non-commercial kind of way. You know, I'd rather have friends over, cookies, go see choir, something beautiful, something that's inspiring, not just stressing out, maxing your credit card out, Or, of course, Modesto, making the news with the mall riot, the fights or whatever on Black Friday. Oh God. Anyways, so, I was saying I feel a little bit weird about being a little bit maybe dramatic on my last announcement, but I do feel, kind of, I keep going through this kind of manic thing about what's to make of everything. So, I've just been kind of saying what I really hope is that as we're learning history, I like the phrase make America better, and I think that should always be our phrase, and that, our phrase, and we should always say that as individuals, right? So, and so that's not even an attack on anybody's positions. I guess what I'm saying is that I think that history shows us we should always improve. We can also always learn new information, and I feel like I might have some information that I need to correct just a little bit from my lectures there. Because I'm always kind of learning something new. Sometimes I get textbooks or I work with notes and different things that I have worked with in the past, and then found that they have a little mistake. So, first of all, in the controversial topic of female circumcision, which many just call it female genital mutilation. So where I was correct in that is that it does appear to be an indigenous African practice that isn't strictly Islamic. And so we see that with Christians, like in Eritrea, for example. Catholic and Protestant Eritreans have practiced it about as much as Muslims. And I believe the government has outlawed it there. So, first of all, you should also keep in mind that this topic is generating debate within within the societies that have been practicing it. It's not like everybody's okay with it, but conservatives keep seeing that as being a tradition that they need to keep, which is really hard for us all, I guess, to imagine. But I just want to say, like, when my daughter was born, well, before I knew I was going to have a daughter, I remember the doctor telling me, well, Joshua, if you have a boy, we doctors don't recommend male circumcision, but a lot of men are still doing it in the United States because it was kind of like a common practice. And so, but here's some information, and I was completely horrified. I grew up my whole life taught that male circumcision is something that you should do. It's in the Bible. It's cleaner. It's better. And I thought that was like something that all doctors agreed upon. And I remember having my doctor say, "Well, we don't recommend it, but we'll still do it for a male circumcision." And I just kind of had almost a meltdown. And when I found out I had a daughter, I was so happy I didn't have to make a choice, because it was just like something in my brain. That's the power of a tradition, or when you hear about something that's natural, you think, oh, that's okay. Now, I think there's also a big difference between male circumcision and what happens to females. But what I'm just trying to point out is the power of culture, how people aren't necessarily trying to think, oh, I want to hurt my daughters, but for whatever reason, you get this tradition, and now you're finding people say, well, this is actually not a good thing, right? And then it's like, so there is that issue, but unfortunately, it's more global than I thought. and I was I read places. The bottom line is that while not all of the Islamic world practices it, it does pop up outside of Africa. And I discovered what I think that is due to. The Quran does not talk about female circumcision, but the hadiths do. And some of the hadiths, now that we learned about hadiths talk about circumcision for both male and female. Now, the hadiths that I read talk about it being required for men and recommended for women. And it appears to me, when I've read from the text that I've read, that it wasn't something that Muhammad actually brought into the world, but it was already common practice, and he's kind of speaking of it kind of matter-of-factly. I think that within Arabia, which is, like Arabia and where Saudi Arabia is, for instance, in Yemen, is very close to Africa, and I think that my current theory is that was a cultural norm, and then the hadiths talk about all practices of what people are supposed to do, and then as this moves into other countries, then this kind of discussion took place and became viewed as normal. So that's problematic, and that's again though this is where the hadiths come in. The hadiths are a massive amount, and then what are the roles that are they supposed to play in these decisions? And I have a lot of Muslim friends that are absolutely opposed to the idea of female genital mutilation. So, but I feel like I wanted to give you a little more clarity on that topic. Okay. Also, don't forget that as we talked about Arabs and Islam bringing writing into Africa to spread out with literacy. Egypt did have hieroglyphs, and I believe Nubia had some type of hieroglyphs as well. So they weren't the only ones that had writing, but hieroglyphs never spread throughout as a means in which people were gonna do reading and writing. Okay, so just to kind of fine tune that. So I don't want to spend too much time on this. Just to say, now we're going into the steppe peoples to Mongolian, Turkic civilizations. I hope you're finding it all interesting and coming together now. I mean, you're seeing, all of these different civilizations, their influence on each other. And you're going to see that again with the Mongolian. You're going to notice that Christianity and Islam, from this point on, just pops up everywhere, okay? And it becomes a topic almost always. Let's see, anything else that I wanted to say? So, I think that's it. If you have any questions again, please feel free to contact me, and I will always love to have a discussion with you guys, especially because we're coming so close to the end, and maybe you'll be happy to be rid of me, or maybe you'll miss me, I don't know. In any case, have a great week, and we'll be in touch.